First, let's start with this case. My husband asked if we could host Thanksgiving this year. We typically don't host because our apartment is small and there's no guest parking, but he was really excited about the idea. Hosting used to be something we enjoyed at our previous home, and those gatherings were always fun. Most of our guests are friends, and everyone agreed to bring a dish to contribute. One of his friends, whom we'll call Chelsea, offered to make the turkey. On Thanksgiving Day, another one of his friends asked if she could bring her cat to the gathering. I politely said no because, as mentioned, we live in a small apartment, and it's a dinner event. I didn't think it would be comfortable for anyone, including the pets. My husband suggested we also let Chelsea know about the no-pet policy, and I agreed. I hesitated slightly because Chelsea has a tendency to bring her dog everywhere. If she can't bring her dog, she usually arranges for a sitter. In the past, this has caused some tension when her dog wasn't allowed at other events. I suggested my husband text her to check if she was planning to bring her dog, as I felt it wouldn't be appropriate for the occasion. Since he's not as comfortable handling potentially confrontational situations, I also offered to speak with her directly. He decided to text her, and she called shortly after. He put the call on speakerphone, and I could immediately tell she was upset from her tone. Chelsea explained that she always takes her dog everywhere, and I gently reminded her that wasn't entirely accurate. We've attended several events together where she didn't have her dog with her. She then questioned why we hadn't mentioned the no-pet rule earlier, and I explained that I didn't feel it was necessary since it's generally understood that bringing pets to a dinner without asking isn't typical, especially in a home without pets. At this point, Chelsea became visibly upset and said, "Well, I guess you'll have Thanksgiving without a turkey then." Her words surprised me because it felt like she was pressuring us into allowing her to bring her dog, implying that she wouldn't attend otherwise. I dislike feeling pressured, particularly in my own home, so I calmly responded that I was sorry she felt that way. She quickly interrupted, saying, "No, I feel sorry for you, since you won't have a turkey," before abruptly hanging up. So, am I in the wrong for saying no to her bringing her dog? I feel like I was simply establishing a reasonable boundary, but now I'm second-guessing myself. Let's start judging. When hosting, you never depend on your guests to bring the main entree. If you can't cook, you always find a restaurant that cooks dinner for holiday for price. The key is always buy more. You're not in the wrong. But what is with your friends? One of them wanted to bring their cat. They seriously wanted to wrangle their cat into a carrier and transport it to a strange environment for a single afternoon evening. Chelsea's dog really can't be alone for a few hours? Has everyone gone insane? You're not in the wrong. You set a boundary about your own home. Dog owners who assume their dogs are welcome everywhere are idiots, no matter how many people or businesses accommodate them. Dogs were commonly left at home for centuries and did just fine. There's absolutely no reason dogs can't be left at home for the length of a social event these days. And if this happens to not be true about some individual dog, it's still not everyone else's obligation to accept that dog in any and every space. Next up, about 3 months ago, I was laid off from my job in the technology industry. It was completely unexpected and hit me hard mentally because I enjoy working, feeling accomplished, and contributing. This sudden change led to an identity crisis that I've been working through with my therapist. However, I absolutely dislike being at home without a routine, so I've been applying to jobs far and wide. While I've had a few interviews, none have resulted in an offer yet. Last week, I was invited to complete a timed written test for a company I would love to work for. They informed me ahead of time that the test would last for 1 hour and shared the exact date and time they would send it to me. Knowing how nervous I get during these types of evaluations, I spent a lot of time preparing. I also made it clear to my husband that I would need complete focus during the test. I specifically asked him not to walk into the room or disturb me in any way during that hour. He reassured me he understood. Fast forward to the test yesterday. I was taking it in our second bedroom office with the door closed. With about 15 minutes left, I started feeling the stress and nerves set in as I worked frantically to finish and leave time to proofread. That's when my husband unexpectedly walked into the room, saying, "Sorry, ignore me, ignore me." I immediately asked him to leave, saying, "Please get out." He replied, "Ignore me, I just need to grab something quickly," and started rummaging through the drawer of the desk where I was working. At that point, my stress boiled over, and I snapped, yelling, "I can't ignore you. I need you to not be standing over me right now. Just get out." He left, slamming the door on his way out. After the test, I went to apologize and explained that I was under a lot of stress and had specifically asked for 1 uninterrupted hour. He said he didn't understand why it was such a big deal and that I overreacted by snapping at him, which hurt his feelings. Over 24 hours have passed, and he's still upset with me. So am I in the wrong here? I feel like I was just trying to set a boundary for a situation I knew would already be stressful, but I'm starting to question if I handled it poorly. Let's start judging. Why did you apologize at all? How are you not recognizing that he tried to sabotage you? At the draw you were sitting at, is he supportive of your career? Do you make more money than him? Have you had disagreements on whether you should be taking on more domestic duties? Have you had conversations re children? He knew exactly what he was doing, and frankly, you underreacted. Why is his hurt feelings a whole thing when he's the one who screwed you up? Edit. It seems like some people really don't understand why OP's behavior amounts to sabotage, as opposed to just someone being inconsiderate. Being inconsiderate implies that you are unaware of what impact your behavior has on someone else. When that person has asked you not to do X for the sole purpose of avoiding certain harm, and you do X anyway, you don't get to play the "oh, I'm just stupid" card. You don't get plausible deniability when you were expressly told certain harm would result from a specific action. Furthermore, if he was just stupid and his wife yelled at him, someone who was being just stupid and inconsiderate would apologize for causing the exact harm that his wife had told him would happen if he did the exact thing he said he wouldn't do. The fact that he doubled down and is now turning it back on her shows that it's not just sheer stupidity. Edit 2. OMG, thank you all for the awards and upvotes. Now that this has become the top comment, I bet OP's gonna come back and be like, No, we talked, he was just being inconsiderate. In all seriousness, OP, sabotage doesn't require this huge, premeditated scheme to keep you unemployed. Just like abuse doesn't require one's husband to punch them in the face for it to qualify as abuse. He doesn't even need to intend for you to not get the job. All that's required is that he knew by coming into the room that he was reducing your chances of performing well, and he did it anyway. Good luck. You're not in the wrong. Not only did he disturb you when you had asked him not to enter the room for 1 hour, but he started rummaging into the desk drawers, the desk you were taking the test on. There's no way someone is so clueless. He had to have done it on purpose to sabotage you for some reason. I can't imagine someone can be so clueless and tactless. Even if you weren't nervous, having someone go through desks, drawers while you're taking a time-limited test can be disruptive. To top it, he is now gaslighting you instead of taking accountability. Nothing was so important he couldn't wait 20 minutes. There is no such thing as a headphone emergency. He had one task: do not disturb. Something a 10-year-old can manage for an hour, and he deliberately not only came in but invades your personal space to rummage around looking for bloody headphones. You're not in the wrong, and now he's emotionally manipulated you into taking blame. Your husband's behavior in this episode is toxic and, more disturbingly, seems well practiced. You should perhaps consider his response to all this, as it indicates his lack of support and responsibility is a deeper issue. A normal person would instinctively know they effed up and how and why, and be groveling apologies. He instead goes straight to gaslighting blame. No wonder you'd rather be out of the house at work. Home seems an exhausting terrain. Next up, I, 42F, have 2 nieces, Flo, 14F, and Ivy, 11F, and a nephew, Ryan, 10M, through my brother Tom, 46M, and sister-in-law Kate, 45F. Flo and Ivy are their biological daughters, while Ryan was adopted 2 years ago after being fostered by them for 3 years. I live close to their family, and we are usually very close. I also have my own daughter, Ava, 12F, who is close with her cousins. Before joining the family, Ryan experienced significant hardships and has some behavioral and developmental challenges. He struggles to sit through long activities like shows or performances, whether in a theater or at his sister's plays and recitals. Because of this, Flo and Ivy rarely have both parents present at their events. Ryan's behavior can be unpredictable, and he sometimes has loud or physical meltdowns, so his parents are cautious about where they take him. When my husband and I take Ava to activities Ryan wouldn't enjoy, like theater shows, we often bring the girls along too. Sometimes Tom and Kate cover the cost, and sometimes we do. However, I've never taken Ryan out without his parents and sisters because his interests differ greatly from the girls, and I don't feel confident managing his behavior alone. Flo and Ivy have also expressed that they deeply appreciate time away from the demands of helping their brother. I've made extra effort to spend time with Ryan when appropriate. He's a wonderful kid, but does require more attention, and I believe it's important for my nieces to have moments where they are the sole focus. This Friday, I'm taking the girls to a Christmas-themed park in London. It's a pricey trip, UK readers will know the one, and I'm covering the cost for all three. On Sunday, Kate called to ask if Ryan could come along. He had seen the advertisements and overheard his sisters talking about it, so he wanted to go. She even offered to pay for his ticket and activities. I told Kate no because I wasn't sure how Ryan would handle the crowds. She explained that he had been 2 years ago and loved it, and said his sisters could help if he struggled. I said that wasn't fair to the girls. This trip was planned as a treat for them, and I didn't want to risk the day being cut short or place the burden of responsibility on them. I didn't feel comfortable asking them to step into a caregiver role during an outing meant to be fun and relaxing. I suggested that she book tickets for Ryan on the day Tom is taking him to London next week, but by that point, she wasn't listening. Kate accused me of being unfair, saying that siblings helping one another isn't parentification, and that I was being ableist by excluding Ryan, who can't help his conditions. She also accused me of favoritism, implying I was biased against the child I'm not biologically related to. The conversation became heated, and I eventually said, "Read the room. It's a girls' day." She hung up. After this, Kate went to the girls and told them that unless Ryan could come, they couldn't go. Flo texted me, begging me not to let Ryan join and asking if she and Ivy could still attend. Ivy, on the other hand, feels torn. She doesn't want her brother to be left out, but also doesn't want to risk the day being ruined. Since then, my mom, Tom, and my sister have contacted me, urging me to bring Ryan to avoid showing favoritism and to be more inclusive. My husband is on my side, believing the trip should remain as planned. Am I wrong for saying no to bringing Ryan? Additional clarifications. Tom, Kate, and my husband are all working on the day of the trip. I took time off specifically for this outing, and Tom and Kate had arranged alternative childcare for Ryan. I do spend quality time with Ryan regularly. Since we live only a 15-minute walk away, I often visit their house and spend time with him and Tom, building Lego sets together, a shared hobby. It's a running joke that Ryan tries to guess which set I'll get him for his birthday or Christmas. These moments are meaningful because his parents are present, and it's something we both enjoy. However, when planning outings, I typically prioritize Ava's interests, which are very different from Ryan's. Ava is into arts, theater, shopping, museums, and slumber parties, while Ryan loves Lego, video games, and martial arts. Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong. You're right. Flo and Ivy need someone in their corner, and are lucky to have an aunt who takes them to do stuff their brother cannot. Are their parents usually not in their corner? And are they parentified? I really admire what you do for Flo and Ivy, and you are right in that they need people in their corner. The time they have to engage in their own interests, without any external pressures, is really valuable. However, everyone sucks. You have completely omitted your nephew from any planning you've done, based on what you've said. You've never done anything solo with Ryan. Your favoritism is pretty impossible to ignore, and it's pretty certain he's picked up on it. Your sister is horning in on pre-existing plans. That's not okay. She's putting her daughters in the middle. That is not okay. It is okay to do solo trips with the kids, but you absolutely have left Ryan hanging out to dry, which is why this is everyone's sucks. I do not agree with your sister picking this event as her hill to die on, but I think you and she should have discussed long ago how to mimic the girls' days out with Ryan. Starting small so you can assess whether or not you can manage his behavior, and then playing within the boundaries where you are comfortable. But as you seem thoughtful, considerate, and observant, I'm pretty sure you'd be able to figure out some outings for you and Ryan. This specific outing sounds like it's big, and it's possibly got a lot of risky factors for Ryan. So I think it's reasonable to not be comfortable with this being your first outing with him without his parents. But I do think you need to accept that you've been showing flagrant favoritism to the girls and should step up and be better to be more equitable in your treatment of all three kids. You're not in the wrong. I noticed that Kate didn't offer to have her or Tom come with and make sure Ryan does okay, which would have allayed all of your concerns. Also, you're paying, so it's rude for her to ask you to pay for and watch another child. It doesn't sound like Kate has expressed an issue with you taking the girls and not Ryan before, so it's not fair for her to lay down ultimatums now for an event that she already agreed to and that was already planned, and it was very inappropriate for her to tell her daughters that they have to ask you if Ryan can come or they can't go. Either she can say no to them going without him or let them go, but she shouldn't put her kids in the middle like that. Next up, I, 42 mem, have 2 children. My son Jack, 22 mem, and my daughter Cassie, 7F, from 2 different marriages. Jack was born during my first marriage to Penelope, who tragically passed away when Jack was 9. Her death devastated both of us, as I had believed we would be together forever. It took me a long time to even consider dating again, which I only started when Jack was 14. He wasn't happy about it. I met my current wife, Sarah, through work. After a few months of dating, an unplanned pregnancy accelerated our relationship. Sarah moved in with Jack and me when she was 4 months pregnant because we wanted our child to grow up in a 2-parent household. Unfortunately, this also meant we had to leave the apartment I had shared with Penelope due to space constraints. Jack struggled with the changes, and I enrolled him in therapy to help him adjust. Despite these challenges, Sarah made an effort to honor Penelope's memory by keeping memorabilia of her prominently displayed in our home, as Sarah had experienced firsthand the pain of her stepmother erasing her late mother's presence. When Cassie was born, Jack showed no interest in forming a relationship with her, which was both understandable and disheartening. However, Cassie's maternal cousin, Will, 18 Eam, adored her from the moment she was born. He naturally stepped into a brotherly role, playing with her, hanging out often, and even sharing a matching Hello Kitty necklace that he wears as a good luck charm for his sport. This year, both Jack and Will left for college. Jack's academic performance in high school was lackluster, resulting in no scholarships. While I could afford to pay for his education, I wasn't willing to cover over $50,000 per year for him to waste the opportunity. He attended community college for 2 years before transferring to a good university this year. On the other hand, Will excelled academically and athletically, earning an almost full scholarship to a school far from home. Both boys came home for Thanksgiving. Jack arrived first, and while Cassie was happy to see him, her greeting was understated. However, when Will returned, it was a completely different story. Cassie waited at my sister-in-law's house to meet him, made a huge, glittery sign, and burst into tears of joy upon seeing him. My sister-in-law captured the reunion on video and posted it on Facebook. Jack saw the video and became upset at the stark difference in Cassie's enthusiasm between his and Will's homecomings. He kept bringing it up, and after the 5th complaint, I finally snapped. I told him that these were the consequences of his actions, or lack thereof, over the past 7 years. He had done nothing to build a bond with his sister, and this was the result. Jack got angry, stormed off to his room, and hasn't let the issue go since. To complicate matters, my former in-laws have been calling me non-stop, demanding that I reprimand Cassie for not being as enthusiastic about Jack's return. While Cassie doesn't fully understand why, she has noticed Jack's mood and is becoming visibly affected by it. Will is furious with Jack for upsetting Cassie and has been vocal about his frustration. Now, I'm unsure how to handle the situation. Should I have handled Jack's feelings differently? And how can I ensure Cassie doesn't feel responsible for his unhappiness? Let's start judging. You're correct about why Cassie prefers Will, but you're in the wrong for how you are communicating with your son Jack. He's your kid too, and it doesn't sound like you treat him very well. The way you frame the scenario sure makes it seem that you don't hold your own son in very high esteem. You are very quick to list all of Will's great characteristics, and really critical of your son's perceived shortcomings. You sound like you would rather have Will for a son. You talk about Jack like he's a disappointment to you and talk up Will. Maybe your son picks up on that. Well, it's too bad you snapped instead of had an adult conversation with him. Asked him some leading questions to get there on his own. You know that phrase, perception is reality? Poor kid, I bet he has a very different version of events these last 8 years. And then you snapped at him. But I don't have enough info to make a judgment. Good luck.